We have talked about listening to understand the speaker's worldview. We've talked about using open-ended questions to understand how the world looks to the speaker, how they feel about how the world looks, and what they want from you. We've talked about using or observing nonverbal behaviors to understand people's emotional state. We've talked about using minimal reinforcers and embracing silence to let the other person know that you're listening respectfully and get them to kind of elaborate on things more. And the very last thing we're going to talk about is something called restatements, where you restate what the speaker just said to you. Restatements really form the backbone of restatements and open-ended questions are really the backbones of effective active listening. So a restatement is just what it sounds like. It's when you restate what the speaker has said to you. So you just take what they say and you paraphrase it. There are two main reasons for this. The first one is that it makes the speaker feel heard. By repeating back to the speaker what they have just said to me, paraphrasing it, not word for word, but paraphrasing what they've just said and repeating it back to them, I let them know that I'm actually paying attention to and remembering and processing this information they're communicating to me. The other thing that restatements do is it clarifies the speaker's point, where you're checking in to make sure that you've understood the other person correctly. We often do not understand the other person correctly. My girlfriend and I, whenever we have a disagreement, we always settle it on GChat. We find that it provides this you can't. It's less emotional. It gives you more time to think and process. So we have all of our arguments on GChat. And what's really interesting about that is you can go back and read the argument. I have realized so many times when I go back and read them, I realize that, oh my God, I was completely misinterpreting her. I was so obsessed with my own worldview that I was completely misinterpreting what she said. I wasn't listening to her, right? And by using restatements, by making sure that I can say back to her what she is saying to me, then I make sure that I actually have understood her correctly. And that is the point. That's one of the 2 points of restatements is to make the speaker feel heard, but also to make sure that you've heard the speaker. So restatements, like open-ended questions, restatements can focus on intellectual content. They can focus on, hey, how does the world look to the other person? Just describe this to me in a subjective way. So your restatements can focus on content. And actually, I noticed that customer service representatives start doing this. So for example, if I look at my credit card statement and I see there's a $50 charge that I don't recognize, and I call my bank, the customer service representative will say, how can I help you today? And I'll say, oh, I've got this $50 charge, I don't know where it came from. And the customer service representative will reply, okay, so it sounds like you have a charge on your credit card statement that you don't know where it came from. And they'll use this restatement. They want to make sure that they have correctly understood the problem that you are presenting. And they do this in an intellectual way, right? They don't ask emotional questions. They don't say, oh, so it sounds like you're really stressed out about this unknown charge. They just intellectually repeat what has just been said. However, restatements can focus on emotions as well. And you use restatements to say things like, so you were really angry about this. And I often I'll call them restatements because I'll say it that way, even if the person hasn't explicitly said that they were angry. I'll take a guess at the emotion I think that they're communicating to me. So I'll say something like, this really stresses you out. And then I'll give them time to clarify. So it's okay for your restatements to be kind of exploratory or to be wrong. Just be open to whatever the person has to respond. It's really just like a question. It's a cue to get the other person to talk more and to make sure that you understand correctly what they are communicating to you. And that is effective listening. We talked about 6 tools for active listening today. We talked about listening to understand the speaker, asking open-ended questions, observing nonverbals, using minimal reinforcers like yep, nodding your head, embracing silence, and restating the message. And that's it.